Hello everyone, my name is Julia. I'm a certified Montessori teacher and a mom of an almost 18-month-old named Isaac and a stepmom to an 8-year-old named Asher. Today's video is going to be all about the Montessori materials or Montessori style materials that Isaac has had on his shelf from 12 to 18 months. If you are new here, I would love for you to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment if there's any sort of topic or video that you'd ever like to see. I am elementary trained and I have also had classroom experience in middle school and preschool classes as well. So if you have any questions to do with any of those, then let me know. So just briefly, I've had a shelf set up for Isaac since about 6 months. Although the first shelf we had was super low so that he could reach it from a hands and knees position or on his stomach even. I actually think it was just a shoe shelf that I used first. So Isaac is well used to having a shelf area in our living room to come and select activities to do. When he hit around 12 months was about the time when he became very interested in some key fine motor skill concepts. So I'm going to show a few examples from different kind of categories. The first kind of fine motor skill category that Isaac was really into was pounding. Some of the pounding activities that we had was this hammering ball tower, also a pounding sort of stick pounder, and there's been a couple others since. Isaac was really into pounding for a long time, so actually a lot of what was on his shelf had to do with pounding. Along with the pounding was an interest in trajectory kind of motions, so anything to do with ball rolling or things dropping. So this is a small ball dropper that came in one of his panda boxes from KiwiCo. Another one that we got, which was super successful, which isn't pounding, but it definitely has that dropping and then trajectory motion, is also the Galt pop-up toy. Another fine motor skill area, which Isaac started showing a lot of interest in during the 6-month period, was the concept of object permanence, putting something into something else and seeing where it goes or what happens to it. So we started off with a very simple object permanence box that I just got this box from the dollar store, and it just opens up like that. Then we moved on to another DIY object permanence / posting material. This one is for coins. And so the coins would go in, then he would have to pull this out to see where the coins went. So this one was quite popular. This one, this side buddy, this is an object permanence box that I just made from one of those like photo boxes that you can get at a dollar store or craft store. And there's 2 separate shapes in this one, and I purposely made them small so that I can do other shapes, so say like a square eventually and a hexagon. And yeah, and then I just simply made these doors for him to open. Yeah. And there's a piece of cardboard inside that's splitting this in half. Other posting activities that have been really successful have been this magnetic worm posting activity, which I did get online. If you've seen any of my other videos, by the way, you might have heard me mention that I really prefer to not buy online. I try and find or make as many of the materials as I can. Not only is online super expensive, and sometimes you end up waiting for a 2-month period for something, and then your child has moved beyond interest of that concept. I also have a hard time with the environmental impacts of buying things online, but I do recognize that if you're in a remote location or some of the more specific Montessori materials can only be purchased online. So I have a $20 budget on if I'm purchasing something online. So if it costs $20, not including shipping, then I will invest in it. And this one is still popular at 18 months. Isaac still does this one, so this one has worked really well. I made another posting activity simply with this kitchen utensil holder. I think this is from IKEA, but I found it in a thrift store. And I have wooden dowels, and you can also use pipe cleaners to post in various formations. Again, some of these main concepts of fine motor skills during this period are going to be things like pincer grip, concentration of placement, sorting, and stacking. And so stacking is another area of play and activities that has been really prominent for these past 6 months. Following the Montessori method with stacking means that we started off with, okay, so we were actually gifted this, which was really handy because I couldn't for the life of me find just a single dowel. I was looking actually pretty specifically for a paper towel holder because I know that those work really well as dowels, but I just couldn't find one. And then we were gifted this when Isaac was about 11 months, which was great. I didn't introduce any of these ones until about a couple months ago, but at first, all we had was this dowel, and this is a curtain rod that I found in a thrift store. There was a whole bag of them for like $2. And all Isaac was doing was putting the one ring on the dowel. When he was able to master that, I actually moved to a different, this is a napkin holder, sorry, and it's smaller and it feels different. So he moved on to that. Once he was able to master that, I did start introducing these pieces sort of 2 by 2 and until he was able to do the whole set. And I will actually be keeping this because as Isaac grows older, he will understand how to stack in a specific pattern to create the clown character that it is meant to be. Another way you can stack on a dowel is stacking on a horizontal dowel. So my husband made this horizontal stacking dowel, which we have one removable dowel to just work on one, and then the second one. Isaac has not yet mastered this, so this is going to be staying out until he does. Other stacking activities that became really popular at about the 14-month mark for Isaac were sort of cups or making any top tower. So I actually have a couple because I bought one top tower from a thrift store, which we started using, and then actually in one of his KiwiCo crates, he got this cup stacker with the little panda on top. So this has been super popular. And currently the stacker that Isaac is working on is this Melissa and Doug stacker. So again, when I first introduced this to him, I literally just took one of each and I only gave 5 pieces so that he could learn that one goes on each. And sometimes he matches the colors and sometimes he doesn't. Again, that'll come a bit later. I'm expecting the color matching recognition to come maybe by 2. But right now he is just figuring out how many go on each, which he's really enjoying. I should just mention this stacking activity / posting activity from KiwiCo as well. The KiwiCo subscription has been really fantastic. I mentioned it in one of my shelf update videos a while back, but if you're looking to invest in some sort of subscription for your child, there's a lot. There's Monty Kids, there's Love Every, there's KiwiCo. Monty Kids and Love Every, as examples, are specifically for Montessori. KiwiCo is Montessori in the sense that they provide simple, durable activities that are either open-ended or provide enough progressions and stimulation to be considered kind of Montessori. They're also the most affordable, which is why I went for it. Also, we get KiwiCo for my stepson Asher, and he loves those boxes. So that's another reason, is because both of the boys can have them. So at first, with these stackers, there's simply just these little rings that go on it. And he's not able to color code them yet, but I will be bringing these back out when we work on colors eventually. Right now, Isaac is working on, they come in 2s and 3s and trying to fit them on there. So that's just working on a bit of geometry, really. Popsicle stick and small dowel posting has also been really popular with Isaac. One of his favorite posting activities that I made, which he still loves, is simply a salt shaker and little tiny bamboo dowels. This was from a thrift store and this is from the dollar store, that he will do over and over again. And I put the lid on so that it's not fully on, it's enough that he can take it on and put it off again. Because again, that's something that you want to encourage in your kid, is the ability to complete the entire activity on their own. So for example, I made this posting activity from an old coffee tin, and as great as it is and as much as Isaac loves it, for me it wasn't worth having this on the shelf for too long because it's hard to open. And so then Isaac was needing me every time he finished posting his 4 popsicle sticks because he couldn't open it again. And so that to me wasn't encouraging his independence. So I have since removed this and prefer to provide posting activities that he is able to assemble and disassemble on his own. So another really great posting activity is this knife holder and just some popsicle sticks that fit really perfectly in. Again, a DIY, but also something that Isaac is able to do independently and complete the entire cycle of doing it. To start off with posting exercises, and I had this for Isaac a little bit before 12 months and he mastered it fairly quickly. I did my own DIY egg in a cup activity. So this is just an egg. I actually at first used rubber eggs that I found in the dollar store and these metal egg cups that I also found in the dollar store. And we made our own egg in a cup. Isaac mastered that fairly quickly, and so we moved on to other activities. Now Isaac's activities can also be considered an introduction to math and geometry. So this is a puzzle that he has already mastered, and so we are going to be moving on to the next puzzle step in this. I actually, which is going to be the cylinder blocks, and I do need to order those, so I gotta get on that. But this came from his KiwiCo again. He also has the shape sorters, which are also an introduction to geometry. And again, I only provide 2 or 3 shapes at a time. He hasn't yet mastered this. We also were gifted this beautiful shape sorter, which again, I only am providing 1 or 2 shapes at a time until he masters all of them. And other puzzles that Isaac has been enjoying are, oh my gosh, I'm not holding that very well. Simple shape and size sorting puzzles. He has mastered, there's this one, there's a triangle one, and there's a square one. So he's mastered all 3 independently, and I will start to mix and match 2 or even 3 at a time eventually. And I want to just mention really briefly about Velcro Toys. Isaac has really enjoyed Velcro. It's not a specific Montessori baby or toddler category. However, the activity of peeling and sticking back on Velcro has been really awesome for Isaac because he is so interested in using his muscles and seeing how hard he can pull at something. So I had this one, which I've done at first. I have other Velcro activities which I have introduced to him, such as this little golf ball in a small artist palette. So there's little tiny Velcro pieces in there, and this requires a little bit more concentration because the ball will only stick on the one small part that has the Velcro, right? But yeah, anything with magnets or Velcro, if you have a child that really loves to test their strength on things, those are some really good fine motor skill categories that you can include so that your child is still working on the different grips and the concentration and the small movements and the minute details of things while still getting out some of that energy and strength that they may have. So we have found this really successful with Isaac. Yes. Oh, and finally, working on fine motor skills to do with opening and closing things. The progression that we started off with Isaac was, at first, I just simply went to Michael's, or you can go to any craft store or any thrift store actually, and just find some sort of chest or simple latch. And once Isaac was able to master that, I then moved on to button latch, and actually this one he loves opening because it has pictures of the family in there, as well as zippers. I have no idea what this one's called, but you know, like the little balls ones. And I usually put something enticing in there, so you can kind of hear that something is in there, and that's also enticing as well. And then I have this one here, which has a whole bunch of things. It has a zipper, it has the button, and then I have cards in some of the pockets for him to practice taking in and out. So this one's kind of the culmination right now. And then once Isaac really got the concept of all of those different clasps, also simultaneously to working on those clasps, we worked on his ability to open and close things. And so this is a little jewelry box that I found at a thrift store. This one is also just a simple wooden drawers that I found at a thrift store. And again, we put something inside there so that there's a bit of enticement there. This is our DIY latch board that we've started for Isaac. So I just went to a local secondhand hardware stores, and actually I found this one at Walmart. So Walmart also has some really cheap, they have good hasps as well, and bolt locks. This was $2 from Walmart, and we just found an old piece of wood, and he started this. We've purposely left some room to add in the more complicated locks as Isaac masters all of these ones. And more recently, Isaac has gotten into the fine motor skill activities of lacing and of practicing transferring and pouring. So we do have the cheese block lacing toy, which I think is a pretty popular one. Anyway, found that at a children's consignment store. Right now, Isaac is working on this lacing toy, which I actually found from Toys R Us. It was on clearance for like $6, which was amazing. And he's really enjoying this, really enjoying this right now. So the lacing is starting to happen. And as he's gotten into the lacing, we have started some transferring and pouring activities. And with these activities, I am still sitting down with Isaac to do them and introduce them to him. At first I introduced just a big bin of dried beans for him to play with, and actually him and Asher play that together really nicely. And we pull that out for a couple minutes at a time every so often. He loves it. But I do still need to be there to make sure that he's not putting pieces in his mouth, because even at almost 18 months, Isaac is still putting some things in his mouth. I still do have to watch him on that. I can't wait for that to be over. I thought I was in the clear a couple months ago, and then he started up again, and it's just like, ugh. So quite a bit of the fine motor skill activities that I've provided for him had to be choking safe. So there's quite a bit that I haven't been able to provide for him. So I'm getting there. So things like pom-poms, small beads, any sort of small parts, even sensory trays, I don't really do with him, because if I'm not watching him, he will put something in his mouth and then he runs away from me because he knows. One of the first transferring activities we did, I just took 2 little bowls that I had for him, an old spoon of ours, and I bent it. And these are wooden beads that I got from a big bag at a thrift store because I knew that they would be useful. And yes, these are a choking hazard, but I am there with him the entire time. This is not out on his shelf at all. So I can't wait to start putting some of the pouring and transferring stuff on his shelf. And since the initial first couple times, as you can see here, I have ended up doing his pouring activities at his little table and chair in the dining room. Here I am presenting to him, transferring rice from a bowl with a spoon. So we do this. We also are fiddling around with liquids. Now on to language. So a big part of some of the things that we've put out for Isaac for language have been various 3D animals. So I'm fairly picky about the animals. I do want them to be as proportionally sized as possible in a given set. So a lot of the ones that you might find in a craft store, I don't really like, because they're making, you know, insects the same size as farm animals, and that's not realistic. So I'm trying to avoid that if possible. So at first, all I was doing was putting out 4 or 5 animals at a time in a basket, and we were going to them, and he was pulling them out and he was putting them in his mouth, and we would say the name and we'd say the sound. Now I have started on picture matching, so I just took photos and printed them out quite cheaply, and oh, that one's upside down, and we are matching them now. Other language that I've started doing is body parts and face parts especially. So Isaac is able to say eyes, nose, and ears. We haven't gotten to mouth yet, or eyebrows or anything like that. I have found super simply cutting, it looks creepy, but cutting out the faces on diaper boxes or white boxes or whatever kind of box you have that has a baby's face on it is super simple and super easy. And so we go and we point, and I actually have another set that I'm making right now of Isaac's face, and I've just cut out his eyes, and I've cut out his mouth, and I've cut out his ears and his nose separately, and we'll start labeling those. And music has always been a very big part of the shelf activities that we've put out for Isaac. And Montessori materials don't necessarily present or provide specific musical instruments in progressions, but some of the progressions that we have done, some of the things that we first started off with was a rain stick, xylophones, and various shakers or drums. I know maracas is a really popular one. And eventually I would love to get some sort of little piano thing, but that's another story. So those are some of the things that we have provided for Isaac on his shelf for the past 6 months in various progressions and in those various sort of small categories within the fine motor skills categories. We do also provide opportunities for him to have gross motor development as much as we can in our small house. If you would like to see a video on that, please let me know and I will be happy to do that. Some things that I am planning on getting for Isaac in the coming months include a toddler pegboard, include the cylinder blocks, and also going into some ImbuCare materials, as well as I will probably be introducing some of the geometric solids and starting in some more math. And I will probably be making many more nomenclature cards, which are nomenclature cards is a picture and the label, and then on the back you have the answer as Isaac's language starts to develop more. Right now Isaac is speaking tons still. Very few of it are discernible words, so he says lots of words, but also is still working on expressing his needs through oral language rather than just the hand signals and noises. And if you haven't already, please go and watch my video that I made on books that we've had for Isaac from 12 to 18 months. Books are probably Isaac's favorite thing in the whole wide world, so sometimes the shelf materials get neglected in favor of books, which I can't complain about at all. So yeah, those are most of the things that we have done. Let me know if there's any random material that you have found or used that you found super successful for your toddler, or if there's anything that you are considering purchasing but are not sure if it's going to be worth it, down in the comments below. I would love to have conversations and to swap ideas. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are staying safe and I hope you're staying sane, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.